Assassination Classroom Season 2, Episode 21. Whoa, we did it. No great shock there. Don't say that, Nagisa. Everyone. Again, no huge surprise. I think we're way beyond 2 blades at this point. Even you! I mean, of course he got in. Tentacle! We hit our tentacle quota early today. Oh, trauma. My life flashed before my eyes. Always sacrificed somewhere. Oh, yearbook. Yearbook's not that bad. At least you can listen to music or podcasts while you do it, unlike video editing. This is a cry for help. Actually, this is weird timing for this because as I record this, my channel is currently sitting with, I think, 5 copyright strikes, 3 being the minimum for channel deletion, and I'm disputing, but I'm just kind of stuck in limbo for the next 10 days or so. I always feared this day would come, and I don't know the outcome yet. I hope I win, but I was surprised to find that after initial fear and just a little bit of anger and frustration and some sadness, and I'm still feeling all those things, but I'm happy to say that when it settled a little bit, actually fairly quickly, my main feeling was just of gratitude, you know, for the whole thing, for everything I've been able to do, for this opportunity, for the whole experience. And like, it puts the elements I didn't like even in a different focus, like, you know, just me sitting there editing for hours and hours over the last 5 to 7 years. It puts it all in a different light. Assassination channel, 21st period, trust time. I mean, every class needs a yearbook. Oh, that's sad. It is a secret. We can fix that. But it's a photo. Private yearbook. That's cool. This is like my phone. Storage full. Meanwhile, huge eyes. He knew her insecurity. He knew her eye insecurity. Is this a kindness or not? Is this show uncovering some huge meta concept of like big eyes are non-canon? Look at her eyes though. She's got tiny eyes. She's got the real small eyes. And they put her in all these random shots stuffing her face and she never complains. We're airing out all our dirty laundry to the class. I mean, understandable. Needs explanation. Harma and Itona are the only ones unbothered by this. Either they kept themselves really clean, or they just don't care. How much for what? Oh my god, they were forcing that maid outfit on Nagisa. That is a major understatement. You went to space, Nagisa. Is this not, you know, him working through some pain right now? Trying to cling on a little bit. Indulge him a little bit, yeah. Come on now. He was at all of your tests. There's something else going on. I mean, in his conception, he only has a couple months left to live. Absolutely, no question. That's well deserved and earned. That's asking a lot. Nagisa's not the only one getting forced into outfits. Karasuma's like, is it too late to change my mind? And why do you have such a huge bag? We are now luggage. You shall become luggage. I'm not fooled by this. I'm not fooled for a second. Koro-sensei is doing this because he knows things are about to go wrong. And I think this is working on multiple levels where this is also the show doing it to the audience, where like things are about to get pretty something. I don't know. They're not going to be carefree. We're acting like we've made it and we solved the problem, but we haven't actually. And I think Koro-sensei knows that. And I think he and maybe the show are trying to stuff in some pleasantness and some lightheartedness for the memories and to enjoy the time while we have it. This is suspiciously lighthearted. I mean, I have a little bit of a cheat because there's the meta awareness of the number of episodes. I mean, on the surface, it's the normal Assassination Classroom lightheartedness, but it just doesn't feel that way anymore. Their faces were just ripped off by the acceleration. That's actually a great strategy, yeah. Do what you can. Work on the areas you have some control over. Nagisa already is doing it to a certain degree, right? I mean, he's helping her the way he's been helped by Koro-sensei.
僕の刃は暗殺に使えば最も威力を発揮する。
Assassinate your fears, burn your dread.
刃の使い方は互えど、こんな顔が見られるなら。
Teacher, it's teacher. I think we've decided.
僕は先生になるよ。
That's beautiful.
コロ先生みたいに速くないし。
I mean, you have great instincts for people. You'll see right through the students.
コロ先生みたいに頭も良くない。
But it turns out it wasn't about that. Koro-sensei knows that very well. Koro-sensei approved. Even more confidence.
君たちが必ず平等に授かり、いずれ平等に失う才能があります。それは若さです。
Right.
若さという才能が逃げないうちに立ち止まらず前に泳いでいってください。
The irony of Nagisa saying he's not powerful, fast, whatever, like Koro-sensei. When Koro-sensei was at the apex of that, he knows where that goes. Maybe a parallel would be like, you get phenomenally rich, and you think you're incredible and better than other people, and then you discover there's a sweeter game, maybe something like service or really helping people, some sort of inner passion or joy, and then you meet someone really special who is just so tapped into that thing, and they're like, well, I'm not as rich as you, but I think I'd like to do some good in the world. You're like, yeah, I think that would be great. I think you get what I did not. And that could be in some way connected to the statement about youth. There's something I don't like about the youth message in the way I sometimes hear it, or maybe it's just the way I'm interpreting it. There's this idea you can't do certain things beyond a certain age, and I kind of just instinctively push back at anything that's kind of like a limiting belief in that way. Like, why not? You know, part of this comes from the fact that I used to think that way. I used to think that things only mattered if you did them when you were super young. Anime doesn't help that, you know, like if you're not saving the world by 15, you're a failure. People will point to like your mind starting to go, and maybe there's some truth to that, but I think it's overstated. I think people are actually just reading what commonly happens for what is a fundamental fact. I think it's likely that in some cases, people just get more and more comfortable, and so they're less likely to strive for things. And also, patterns and habits are hard to break, so people get increasingly entrenched in their patterns, whether it's their behaviors or thoughts or whatever. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about here, but I've actually thought about this for language learning. Like, people say your mind closes off to new languages after childhood or something. If you look around you, that seems to make sense because it's very hard to learn foreign languages after a certain age. And I don't know, maybe there's some neuroscientific basis for this. At the same time, there's no perfect basis for comparison. Let's say you were 35 and you went to a country where you didn't speak the language, but your entire environment was people babying you in that language, and you had no exposure to anything else but that language, and you did that for 5 or 6 years. I mean, I think most people would be able to speak like a 5 or 6 year old would in their native language, adjusting a little bit maybe for like language one interference. Depending on what the thing is, you're going to be more equipped to do certain things at 40 than you were at 20. There's actually a story I've always wanted to see that you just don't come across because it's all about youth, right? One day I would love to see the story of like an old man starting from nothing. So I don't believe like youth is the only time to do great things. That being said, the positive elements of it and the importance of it for young people to hear is like, you actually have a lot of time, and that time is more precious than you realize, and it's good to use it well. And there's a weird bittersweet feeling sometimes when you meet someone who, at least in a certain way, is like way ahead of what you expect, and maybe you feel like they're actually pretty solid in what they've learned and what they know and their framework for thinking about whatever the thing is, but they're way younger than you, and you're like, oh, this kid is a threat in a good way. And your mind goes all sorts of places like, man, if only I had figured that out so early. But also admiration, joy at seeing this potential, if your heart's in the right place at least. To Nagisa, it probably feels like Koro-sensei is the one on high, you know, the one to look up to. I can never be like you. Koro-sensei, meanwhile, is in awe of Nagisa for having figured this out as a junior high school student with his whole life in front of him, having seen the challenges Nagisa went through and just what a great person emerged out of all of that. Whereas Koro-sensei, I mean, how many years did he spend trying to burn the world down?
今日で全員終わったのか。進路相談。
皆本当に私を感動させてくれます。
Me too.
教育にいいアルバムにしろよ。
What does that mean?
素直に認めよう。お前の
He's one of the students.
教室でどれだけ多くを学んだか。生徒も俺も。
Right, of course. You can't be in this world with this energy and not get something out of it. I don't think.
奴は今単体で教室に
Okay, that's what was weighing on you.
この後動くことはないでしょう。ご苦労。
I can't blame him really. I mean, even Koro-sensei wouldn't hold this against him.
最終暗殺を発動する。
This is like Attack on Titan with its final seasons. The final assassination. This looks highly dangerous, not just for Koro-sensei. We haven't really defined our total limits for acceptable collateral damage. I'll bet in reality it would be pretty high, actually. This would be really heartbreaking if this is the way he goes out. I mean, it's not, but what was I saying about like luring us into a false sense of security? I never fell for it for a second, but I'm still concerned. How much did we compensate the principal for this? His whole livelihood and business. It's okay, I'll just make it up with stocks.
陸亀をベースにした反物質生物をエネルギー源に。
Why was it modeled after a tortoise? Where does a tortoise fit in?
このレーザーはあらゆる障害物を透過して触手生物のみを溶かす。
Oh, that's highly specific. No collateral damage. That's very responsible.
あれをかわすか。高速のレーザーだぞ。なんという勘の鋭さ。だがね、
How did he know?
これで終わりじゃない。せっかく助かったんだ。
Yeah, they're not messing around. Creating a boundary. Boxing him in. A dome. Like the Simpsons. Assassination Simpsons.
通称地の盾。偽装した地上施設群からレーザーを収束させ。
We're also escalating the capabilities of the government. Even the government's learning. If we can do this, imagine what else we could do for peace. And I guess also war, but hopefully for peace. Imagine the infrastructure we can make for for our citizens, right? It's exactly what it looks like.
逃げ場はゼロだ。レーザーは地中まで透過している。殺すのではなく、逃がさないための光の。
Right, this alone is not enough.
できれば第一射で仕留めたかった。
Well, if you can make that space laser big enough, you just blast it in there. That maybe does it.
地上部隊をケース
Ground troops are not going to do it though. You should just fire the big laser in here. I guess they could make it wide enough, or the barrier is small enough.
このまま何事もなく終わるかもと思っていた。
Nah, never gonna happen that way.
すべて用意されていたんだ。
Watch this turn into a student rescue of him.
我々に害をなす特定危険生物を閉じ込めるためのもの
Yeah,
です。
this also means making it public, right?
怪物と申しましょうかはあろうことか全世界を
This
相手に
is
我が国
a
の
lie.
中学生を
A
人
group of
質に
lies.
し
Lies upon lies.
第二射充填まであと1週間かかります。
This seems like
悟られないよう 20% の出力で撃ったのが災いしたな。だが次は 100% で撃つ。
Yeah, you did that in the wrong order. You should have done dome and then giant laser.
あとは世論の誘導と不穏分子の対策のみだ。
Troublemakers like students. This puts them in such a weird spot. Again, it also maybe pits them against Karasuma.
ご覧ください。
Look at all these troublemakers. Oh, they could just unravel the whole lie right now.
人質にされていた中学
Government wouldn't like that.
怪物が捕獲された安藤司教。
この先生が捕獲。
He's our teacher and we love him. He's a great guy. He taught us how to live and love and wield second blades.
確かな筋から聞いたんです。地球が滅びる可能性は 1% 以下だって。
Yeah, no one cares.
テレビで流してください。
Everyone heard 1% and they're freaking out.
悪い先生じゃないんだから。
Tell him.
おい、この子寄りで取れ。
そう言えってあの怪物に言われていたの。
No,
辛かったでしょ。もう正直に言っていいのよ。
I'm not a victim. People just hear what they want to hear.
子供たちには深刻なトラウマが残るでしょう。早急なケアが望まれます。かわいそう。
This is sort of
何
infuriating.
もわからない子供たちに。
People just buy it. I mean, I can't blame them because the threat is real. They just don't have enough information. But the hysteria. I mean, I guess on a personal level, what I take issue with the most is being told I can't speak for myself because of my experiences. There's a certain framework for discussion where either way you go, you're wrong. You see this sometimes with conspiracies where like there being no evidence of a thing is treated as evidence of a cover-up. And if there is no actual basis for the conspiracy, there is never going to be proof of no conspiracy because there's just nothing in the first place. Like you can never prove that Bigfoot doesn't exist. Sometimes there just being no evidence is the best you can do. And so if that in itself is treated as evidence of a cover-up, there's just nowhere to go. Similarly, if you have a point of view and your point of view is answered with, you've just been brainwashed, well, maybe, but that in itself is not sufficient because you could claim that about anything. Meanwhile, they're going to be traumatized by his death more than anything. Though there is a little bit of a basis for this.
同情されているんだ。
They were put through some pretty extreme, terrible things.
我々には真実を報道する義務が。
興味本位で中学生を怯えさせて何が義務だ。現在ここは防衛省の権限で立ち入り禁止としている。
This is weird all around.
烏丸先生、この先生に何があったんですか。
タイムリミットだ。
Oh, the yearbook makes me so sad. He just wanted to make his yearbook
1週間後、大出力のレーザーが奴を殺す。
in a week.
そんな、俺たちの。
You have 1 week.
君たちは今日までよく頑張った。
Or do it in a week.
納得できません。
It isn't cool, yeah.
もう君たちが付け入る隙はない。諦めるんだ。
嫌です。
We don't know what that means anymore.
だからお願いです。行かせて。
Oof, oof.
行かせることはできない。これは国の方針だ。
We've met a bigger fish.
俺を困らせるな。わかったか。
This is a good lesson, though, ultimately. You will encounter this.
いざとなったら保身のために上の命令に従うだけ。
That's a little bit of an
そ
unfair
の通りだ。
characterization.
地位がなければ肝心な時に誰も守
Yeah,
れない
there's。more to it than that. It's not just bootlicking.
やはり奴は殺すべきだと考えている。
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a genuine choice. It doesn't feel like he's afraid of his bosses, to give him some credit. I don't love it, but he's not a weak man.
俺を困らせるなってはっきり言った。
だからなんだよ。
前に烏丸先生は言ってたよね。
Oh, we're supposed to read between the lines?
もしも俺が困れば。
Oh, there was a code.
困らせるなは僕らを信頼し任せるって意味だと思う。
Or not. I mean, it could just be a coincidence, but we can hear what we want to hear. They did it to us.
みんなで考
We can
え
do
て
it
整理
too.
しよう。
Why not us?
僕らがどうしたいのか。僕らに何ができるの
Right,
か。
this too is another challenge. And your abilities have to transfer always. This is such a simple thing in word and really hard in practice. There are a few things for which the real significance of them will come out when they're the least convenient and you want them the least. So like moral codes, right? Everyone knows they should be moral. It's very obvious, not that difficult to apply that when you're in times of peace or to your friends and family that you love and care about, at least hopefully. That's kind of a given anyway, right? It's not that different from just following your natural instincts. Can you apply that to the people you most detest and hate? The people who you feel are dangerous and you feel some sort of threat from? Do you still stick to your code in that situation? Same thing for the lessons you've learned in your skills. Do you only stick to them when things are going well, or do you stick to them always in any situation, no matter how hard the challenge seems? It's very easy to be like, well, this is not the same. I have all this stuff going on. Don't you know what's happening in my life and how everything's falling apart? But maybe that's where it counts the most. You know, your promises. Sure, you can stick to your promises and your goals when you're not tempted, but like, what about when you are tempted? What I think is really cool and unique about this situation that's good for them to learn is if you choose to live this life, you're just going to hit walls. You're going to hit very hostile things that are more powerful than you. And maybe they can actually crush you. And maybe sometimes those will be people and institutions you trusted. So what do you do in that situation? How do you navigate that? This is one of the cool things that comes out of My Hero Academia also, you know, because Deku is a great person and wants to be a hero, and that for a long time, luckily, works out to be pretty much in line with just the conventional structure of his society. He's on the heroic side and he's in accordance with the law. Well, like, what happens when heroic society goes in a different direction and calls for you to do things that feel wrong to you? What happens when the structure you've always counted on and sided with splits from the more important things to you, which are your ideals? At a time like this, speaking of sticking to what you do and what you want to do, Koro-sensei, in a life or death situation, still does his ritual of cleaning the classroom. It's not going to be for himself, that's for sure. Yeah, makes sense. And you will. We should have encouraged his yearbook thing. This is very Persona 5. Man, they're all coming together. Terasaka got rejected from his own gang. The news is redonk. There's also an informational war we could fight, but I guess we're not going that route. We can just out on the loose. Just don't break any old man's legs this time. This is a great end credit sequence. Where will Karasuma fall? The yearbook. That's gonna be so heartbreaking to see this in its completed form. This is a Koro-sensei trademark, the gigantic books, foreshadowed by the travel guide to Kyoto.
コロ先生暗殺期限まであと
Yikes. This feels like we're leading into the finale, multi-episode finale. Okay, that came true a lot faster than I thought. I'm like, this is going to be a chill episode where you just get lured in and have fun and say one last goodbye to the carefree life. That lasts all of like 5 minutes, and then giant space laser and quarantine. There's a way of looking at it where there's already been a happy end. I mean, like, look at who the kids are. Look at what they're doing and look at how much they care about life. I mean, there's zero apathy to be found. There's no excuse making. There's no whining. There's no complaining. There's no posturing or bitterness towards each other. Just immediately coming together and fighting for what they believe in, which is just led by their care of Koro-sensei, who also, like, he's also made it. I mean, like, I don't want to see him die, obviously. The best situation is he gets to live. But I mean, I think he also knows. He knows what he's done. He knows what matters. And that thing that matters will continue and exist with or without him. It's much bigger than any one person. Nobody could ever say that Koro-sensei didn't live up to his potential, didn't make a contribution, didn't do everything he could to follow that fire that was lit in his heart by Kayono's sister.